Right, ladies and gentlemen, Mount Taranaki, when we came, was good, and voila, this is what I am seeing now. Huge cloud cover has covered the mountains. Oh dear. Need to get something to eat. Let me get my radio back on. And yes, the video for the hike of the trail of Mount Taranaki will be up sooner than later, whenever I get the chance. So yes, I'll just be driving back to Wellington itself, and yeah, that will be the video drive for today. Oh my goodness, the weather was quick to change. Weather was quite quick to change. Oh, I took the wrong exit point. Okay, I was lucky there that there was nobody. Jeez, I have headache from the trail. But yes, yeah, the weather was not in our favor today, but I'll try to do the hike again sometime in the future. Yeah, the weather was calm when we came, but now it's turning quite vicious with high winds. Anyway, sit back, enjoy the drive. We'll be heading to Wellington, like I said. I don't know which route I will be taking. There is a road called Transmission Gully. I don't know whether that was for Wellington. Transmission Gully. Yeah, anyways, it is what it is. I'll see if I'll see if it is possible for me to use that route. I will see. If not, just the normal route will be fine. Woohoo! So yes, we are descending, so it's not going to be an easy descent. So I just need to be on my brakes anyways, all the time. Yeah, because this is quite twisty and windy. Oh my goodness me. Jeez, this is a narrow road. With the rain. Oh. Anyways, let me put back my radio.
It's agreed to recommend two major changes to the Fast Tracks approval bill to the Environment Committee. The first one is giving an expert panel the final say, much like the current process established under Labour. RMA Reform Minister Chris Bishop says the other change is only having the Minister for Infrastructure involved in the referral process.
The Minister for Infrastructure will be required to consult with the Minister for the Environment and other relevant portfolio ministers. So to take a practical example, on a transport project, for example, the Minister of Infrastructure will be required to consult with the Minister of Transport.
A man killed on the grounds of an Auckland tennis club was a beautiful soul taken in a dreadful event, the club says. Police launched a homicide investigation yesterday after a man died at Blockhouse Bay Tennis Club on Rathline Street. In a statement to members, the club says the man was present at the club almost every day, and he was truly a sincere person who was always happy to talk to everyone. Police are hunting an offender who they believe left the area on foot. Public transport organisations are being pushed to think about how they can encourage users to help each other feel safe A new Auckland University study has found bystanders play a key role in helping those impacted by harassment. PhD student Kirsten Tillman led the study and says females and vulnerable people are sometimes choosing not to use transport services.
What I'm hoping to see over time is public transport providers being able to respond to this type of data and have that reflected in the strategies.
There are calls for more widespread vaping education as demand increases. Asthma and respiratory foundation educators have ran workshops for 10 to 12-year-olds at 18 schools this year, over 4 times more than in 2023. Chair Latita Harding says children as young as 8 are reporting they've either already tried vaping, have been offered one, or are curious about them. She says the narrative around vape products continues to be linked as an alternative to smoking.
This has been a separate issue as a problem for our youth for years now, and so we're having to educate them on the standalone harmful product.
Dating apps are proving a bit more difficult for people who are neurodivergent. About 20% of young New Zealanders identify as neurodiverse, which includes autism, dyspraxia and dyslexia. Holly Fowler, co-founder of neurodiverse-friendly dating app Wable, has been looking into the issue.
People who are neurodivergent might experience some challenges with initiating or starting off a conversation or getting to know someone in the first instance.
Denzel Washington insists there are limited number of films left for him to make. The 69-year-old double Oscar winner recently hinted at his retirement. Now he says after Sir Ridley Scott's Gladiator 2, there's not much else that has piqued his interest.
No certainty from ASB Classic tournament director Nicholas Lamperin that a top 10 men's tennis player will be available for January's event. American Ben Shelton was the top seed for this year's tournament, coming into Auckland ranked 17th in the world. Lamperin says the event being close to the Australian Open Grand Slam presents its challenges.
Traditionally the top 10 guys don't necessarily want to play the week before, but as you know, we have started and US Open started on Sunday, which is a bit challenging. However, we still have some discussions going on, and if not top 10, there will be some players between 10 and 20 for sure.
Meanwhile, a tight first set for New Zealand. Player Lulu sorted her first WTA level final. The Wimbledon quarter-finalist trails Czech player Linda Noskova 6-5 in a title decider of the tournament in Monterrey, Mexico. Regardless of the results, Sud will enter the top 50 for the first time after the event, which comes on the eve of the US Open in New York. Nothing to separate Otago and Bay of Plenty in the first spell of their NPC rugby clash in Dunedin. The two sides were locked at 14 all at half-time. Meanwhile, Wellington have a 14-0 lead over Manawa 2 midway through the first half of that match in Porirua. And in the Wharapama Cup, a dominant showing from North Harbour. The Hibiscus have hammered Taranaki 62-19 in Plymouth. Manawa 2 have gone 3 from 3 with a big 55-24 win over Wellington and Porirua, while Otago prevailed 37-24 over Tasman and Dunedin. And good news for Shane Van Gisbergen, the Kiwi driver will be a full-time competitor in the NASCAR Cup Series in 2025. Trackhouse Racing confirming he'll pilot their third car in the sport's top division. I'm Clay Wilson. That's News Talk ZB News and Sport with Sanderson Vitamins, online or in store from Chemist Warehouse nationwide. It's 5 minutes past 3. Tim Beveridge is next.
Sport with GJ Gardner Homes, New Zealand's most trusted home builder again. Weather with Oslo, committed to leading the way with sustainable fertilizer solutions.
Your coastal forecast for the sea area Raglan for the rest of the day: westerly 10 knots, rising to northwest 20 knots. Sea becoming moderate, long period southwest swell rising to 2 meters. Monday, northwest 20 knots, moderate southwest swell easing. The Met Service forecast for New Plymouth
Previously, that recommended giving 3 ministers sign-off powers to approve major projects. But today, the Infrastructure Minister announced the final say will rest with an expert panel, which will include expertise in environmental matters, will include an iwi authority representative, only require treaty settlements, and will include Māori development into our Māori expertise in place Mount Taranaki. It's all a bit dense, actually, to help us get on top of it. We're joined by the Minister for Infrastructure, Chris Bishop, is with me now. Chris, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I thought a lot of people have thought that the special power resting with those 3 ministers might make a real difference, but now we've got an expert panel deciding, as with the
commission, but broad thematics coming through to the select committee.
Well, you must be loving the number of times you're having to give credit to Labor, but anyway, good on you. Now the time frames for what the situation that we've got now. How much quicker are we really going to see projects come to fruition?
I think it will speed things up. So what happens now is we've had 384 applications, I should say. We'll be considering those projects to be listed in the bill in the coming weeks and months. We won't get the bill until by the end of the year. The projects that we select to be listed in the bill will then go off to the panels automatically. And so we haven't made a final call on exactly how many and which ones. I hasten to add we're doing that over the next few weeks. And then those projects will head towards the panel, and many projects are hoping to be centred into next year, and that will give us a really nice pipeline of projects to start getting on with and start building. We've been saying to a bunch of people, we have an infrastructure crisis in this country. We've got a deficit of about $100 billion. We need to get on and build things. We have a housing crisis, so the house prices develop well, high rents. We need to get on and build more houses, and we've got very ambitious climate goals. And we've been at a energy shortage in this country. We've shortage of gas and shortage of renewables to get on and to provide power. So we do need to get on and build a few things. It's just become too hard in this country to do. So that's what it's very cool about.
Okay, so the panel itself, everything's politics, isn't it, people? How do you choose who's going to be on the panel?
So the panels work in the same way that the panels under the existing fast track work, which is that they're a range of legal experts. They have to have environmental expertise. There has to be some environmental expertise on the panel. There has to be Maori development, Te Ao Maori panel as well, and then economic expertise as well. And then there's essentially legal experts who go through that very technical process of applying the conditions and the consent conditions that you need for a project. Long list of conditions, and it's a very technical process, and it's essentially a legal process.
So it's not so substandard where they might look at something, we don't like the look of this for maybe some other reasons which you wouldn't have anticipated.
No, the fact that the government or the Minister of Infrastructure has sent the project to a panel means that the government is interested in fast-tracking it and getting it consented and getting it permitted. The role of the panel will be to go through and apply the conditions upon which the project will happen. But as I say, we've also given the final decision-making authority to the panel. So if the panel goes through and says, look, we want to do this condition with permit, but then they actually decide what actually is possible to do, the impact on the environment is so great. We don't think the project should happen if that be their decision rather than the decision of ministers.
What if you don't like it?
Well, that's the power that we have decided to give up and give it to the panel to make that decision. But we are sending a very clear message through the legislative design and the architecture of the legislation that we want projects to take place. The purpose statement in the legislation is going to be very important, and the purpose statement makes it clear that the intent of the legislation is to get on and build and get consented nationally and regionally for certain projects.
Okay, if I was going to be politically creative, I'd say, you're just going to have this panel set up to rubber stamp things, because once Bishop says he loves it, let's go.
I don't think that's fair. It's about finding the sweet spot between ministers making it clear they want things built and they want things consented, but also allowing the panel to turn something down if it has such a deleterious or negative impact on the environment or for a range of other reasons. So it's about finding that sweet spot. The feedback we had so far is that we hadn't got the balance right. I think we've made some changes to get that balance right.
Okay, so you mentioned those 384 projects. How many are we going to get out of the blocks, and in what sort of time frame? First cab off the rank, so to speak.
Well, it's hard to say on that right now. We're just working our way through we've received some independent report from the advisory group on that. We're receiving some further advice on it. We're just working our way through that. So we will make decisions on that in the next few weeks, couple months, and attach that list to the legislation, and the intention is to pass the legislation into law by the end of the year. So, next few months.
Sorry, one just last long question. How much time
today. Now in their new purpose-built workshop, Big Red Building, Flint Road, Stratford.
This is a friendly reminder to all South Taranaki ratepayers that your next rates instalment is due Wednesday, 28th of August. You can pay at the South Taranaki District Council on Albion Street, your local Library Plus Centre, or online at southtaranaki.com. Remember, you must pay your rates by 4:30 p.m. Wednesday, 28th of August to avoid a late penalty. For more information, call the South Taranaki District Council on 0800 111 323. That's 0800 111 323.
Head into Taranaki Hunting and Fishing and snag a deal in the massive winter clothing clearance. You'll find massive savings across the entire range. That's up to 50% off all clothing and all the brands you know and love. Don't miss out on these incredible winter bargains on quality clothing at Hunting and Fishing, The Valley and Moturoa. Limited time only while stocks last. Get into the Taranaki Hunting and Fishing winter clothing clearance and hook yourself a deal.
Which oil keeps your business moving forward? Tunnelling workers running equipment 24/7. They know. Construction companies maximising uptime. They know. And when you think about it, you know. Valvoline, the original engine oil.
Disney Worlds of Wonder collector cards are now at Woolworths. And this weekend is double weekend, where you'll get 2 card packs with every $30 you spend. But you better be quick. Ends Sunday, only at Woolworths. T&Cs and exclusions apply while stocks last.
The meatbox.co.nz, the meatbox. That's what I said. I don't want anything else instead. The meatbox.co.nz.
The Meat Box delivers delicious, succulent, mouth-watering meat and more fresh to your door. Order this week to save over 10% on meat when you buy the Butcher's Box. That's a great deal for you and the perfect gift for Dad.
The meatbox.co.nz.
Fresh meat delivered fresh to your door.
Helping you get on top of your busy life. Tim Beveridge on the Weekend Collective. News Talk ZB.
I'm Tim Beveridge, and this is Politics Central. But don't forget, we're going to be taking your calls for the rest of the hour of this next interview. So just after that, in about 10 minutes, you can give your feedback on the interview we've just done with Minister of Infrastructure, Chris Bishop. And also now with Paula Southgate. So the local government New Zealand conference, that's finished up. You will have seen the headlines. So there's some nice moments of polarisation, could you say? Differences of opinion. Of course, you get these things all the time in politics. The Prime Minister told councils to cut nice-to-have spending and start being more intentional, I guess, with their income. Wellington Mayor Tory Whanau accused the PM of punching down. Local government minister at the conference, Simeon Brown, hinted at some new streams of fundings to councils. And to discuss that, the Hamilton Mayor, Paula Southgate, joins me now. Paula, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How did you feel the conference went?
Well, you know, when you throw a cat among pigeons, it creates a bit of a chaotic environment. But off the back of that, I believe the conference was really rich in the necessary debates that we needed to have. The Prime Minister was forthright, no steel, concrete, etc.
Where would you ideally get your money from to avoid having to raise rates?
Well, I think we need to form funding partnerships. I think debt is part of the issue. If we can borrow more and then spread it over multiple generations, that seems reasonable. But also we need some funding partners, whether they come offshore or their businesses in New Zealand who want to partner in infrastructure funding. We have got the local authority finance organisation. We have Crown Infrastructure Partners all talking with us, about what they could offer in terms of deals and loans. But we need to develop. We need to partner with developers. We need to partner with big businesses to help us put infrastructure in nice and early, and then over time the people can start to pay that back.
Just a couple of last questions. So when it comes to council elections and things, a lot of people don't really know who they're electing. How close do you feel, how much communication do you actually have with ratepayers? Are you able to have an input as opposed to just people complaining about their rates bills?
You are able to have input. It's really hard to get the ratepayers to understand the complexity and size of the issue that we're facing. That is why you get people talking about potholes in the street, because it's local. You can look at it and see it, and you can complain when the council doesn't fix it in time if your rubbish bin is left behind like that. But how do you understand the importance of a wastewater interceptor? It's not like infrastructure is something everybody's dealing with every day. And those are the kinds of things that I'm always trying to break through to the public. It's not to do with the small things. It's to do with the really big infrastructural items that we need to be a modern, thriving New Zealand.
Yeah, excellent. Well, will you be inviting the Prime Minister to the Hamilton Festival next year?
Absolutely. In fact, we're opening the new visitation centre in a month, which I very much doubt we'd have been able to fund today's current regime. But yes, we're going to charging external visitors, but Hamiltonians will still be free, $20, because we have to look at user pays ways of maintaining what we've got, right?
Yep, indeed.
But it's still worth it.
No, you're right. I mean, that Hamilton Gardens is a good example of, it is an example of the blurry lines, isn't it, between making you doing the basics and having a city that's actually got a bit of vibrancy to it. So, rather you than me on those decisions. Hey, thanks for your time, Paula. Really appreciate it.
Not at all. Thank you very much.
There we go. That's Hamilton Mayor Paula Southgate, and you can offer your feedback on that as well. Because, the temptation in talkback with these things is to reduce it to a binary thing, like the councils are tone deaf, they're not listening to their ratepayers, etc. And yet, if you look into the state of some of the state of the books of some councils, you might want to aim some of your criticisms at previous generations of councillors, and it seems that, obviously the lack of investment of infrastructure over decades, the buck's got to stop somewhere. So what's your reaction to that interview with Paula Southgate? And actually, did you agree with the Prime Minister's speech that it doesn't hurt to, what did she say, throw the cat amongst the pigeons? I guess he was the cat and they were the pigeons, but whatever. Did you agree with him having a crack and saying, look, you guys have got to think about what you really need to spend money on? And I don't think it did any harm whatsoever, regardless of maybe a few hurt feelings. So there's that, and also Chris Bishop, the Minister responsible for the RMA reform and infrastructure, and the changes they've made. So the final decision is going to rest with an expert panel. Do you agree with the changes that have been made? I'd have to say he probably changed my mind in that interview. I'm probably okay with it. What do you reckon? 0800 80 10 80, text 9292. Let's get into it in just a moment. It's 25 minutes to 4, News Talk ZB.
Motorsport is the ultimate test of performance. That's why BWT Alpine F1 team is proud to endorse High-Spec, Castrol's new hybrid performance standard. Castrol High-Spec engine oils, endorsed in motorsport, designed for every day.
Rebel's MVP deals in soon with 20% off big brand clothing like New Balance and Running Bear. Up to 45% off selected basketball systems, plus more hand-picked offers in-store and online. Hurry, in Sunday at Rebel Sport. See online for T's and C's.
COVID is still doing the rounds in New Zealand. The good news is there's a powerful way to protect yourself and your loved ones. The COVID vaccine is free and recommended if you're 65 or over, as long as you haven't had the vaccine or COVID in the last 6 months. To book your vaccine, visit bookmyvaccine.co.nz.
60 plus traveller. First up, a 22-day European river cruise tour departing on June 12th. Enjoy fabulous stopovers in Doha and Amsterdam before departing on an exquisite 15-day cruise from Amsterdam to Budapest. Admire Cologne's Gothic cathedral, sail the dramatic Rhine Gorge with its majestic castles, explore quaint villages, visit Melk's Benedictine Abbey, and much more. Tour magical Vienna and conclude your journey in vibrant Budapest. Second up, a 16-day tour departing July 5th. Experience the thrill of the Calgary Stampede, the greatest outdoor show on earth, and Canada's stunning Rocky Mountains. Travel in luxury aboard the Rocky Mountaineer train from Banff to Vancouver. Explore natural wonders like the iconic Icefields Parkway and Lake Louise, and cap with
a lovely spot. They've done it beautifully. So I can't tell you what. That's the thing. I look and I go, well spent. But it's a bit indulgent, isn't it? Anyway, no. So any last comment before we move on?
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Good on you, Larry. Thanks for your comment. All right. Gerhard, hello.
Hey, John. I just wanted to find out if you maybe give me some guidance on this. When the council say, for instance, they have a massive event,
It's Sanderson Vitamins, online or in store from Chemist Warehouse nationwide. It's 4:05. Tim Beveridge is next.
Sport with GJ Gardner Homes. Start your dream home journey with a trusted local team. Weather with Ozflow. Improve productivity through customized fertilizer solutions.
Your coastal forecast for the sea area, Raglan for the rest of the day, westerly 10 knots, rising to northwest 20 knots. Sea becoming moderate, long period southwest swell rising to 2 meters. Monday, northwest 20 knots, moderate southwest swell easing. The Met Service forecast for New Plymouth, Taranaki for the rest of the day, mostly cloudy with a few showers developing. Northwesterlies, an overnight low of 12. For Monday, showers turning to rain in the evening. Fresh northwesterlies, a high of 16, an overnight low of 12. And for Tuesday, rain, possibly heavy, easing to a few showers in the afternoon. Fresh northerlies turning westerly.
It's like running with your mates. A health hub with Triton Hearing. Together we're changing hearing for good on the Weekend Collective News Talk ZB.
And welcome back to the Weekend Collective. I'm Tim Beveridge. And by the way, we missed Politics Central, a couple of interesting interviews, very interesting interviews, if I don't say so myself. Paula Southgate, the Hamilton Mayor, and Chris Bishop, Minister for Infrastructure. There you can go and check it out on my podcast for the Weekend Collective at iHeartRadio. But right now, it's time for the Health Hub. We want your calls, 0800 80 1080, text 9292. Because we like to have guests who, you know what, you can pick their brains and you probably do quite well in life. I think if you pick the brains of some of my guests. And our guest for the Health Hub is, I should say, none other than, I think you can say that you've got a little bit of fame, as Alex Flint does. He's the health and fitness trainer for MatchFit, which is seen on your screens training rugby players who've probably kept up the same diet, but not the same exercise. Is that a bit harsh?
Oh, it's fairly true, I would say, for most of them. Yeah.
Good on you. And how are you? You keeping well?
I'm really well, thank you. Yeah.
Excellent. So, what we're going to talk about too, you can give Alex a call, by the way, if you want to pick his brains about, you want to change your life, you want to make a difference, you've got a problem getting started or building a habit, whatever. Want to share it with us? And a problem shared is a problem halved. And of course, you share it with not just Alex and me, but lots of people. But first question, Alex. I know this came out of when I went back to the gym. You know, you get back into the gym and you want to get into everything. You sort of think, I better get the right gear, get a decent pair of shoes, all that sort of thing. Got the new routine. And of course, then they got the, you know, the pre-workout sort of protein powders, the post-workout protein powders. And somebody said to me, I wasn't really into it, but I might have just snuck a cheeky protein drink at a particular time. And a nutritionist said to me, mate, you're just eating and undoing all your good work because you don't need to change your diet. Well, they didn't actually say it quite like that, but they just were telling me, ease up on the pre and post-workout stuff. How many people is this an issue for in terms of, and how complicated is it when it comes to changing your exercise regime and your diet?
It's a really good question, Tim. I think probably the basis of it is, for a lot of us, we believe that exercise
So we see extreme approaches which just are not long-term safe or sustainable.
Do they ever go back to the biggest losers and look at them a few months later and go, oh,
Yeah, so
they don't?
very rare that anyone keeps the weight off long-term, and they actually have lower metabolic rates afterwards, even though they've gone back to their original weight, so they can eat less and still put weight on.
What about the post-workout sort of stuff? Is there anything specific you should be eating? I mean, I guess in my mind I've got the fridge at the gym, which has got all the fancy just going to slightly call you out, Nick, because I reckon that you're probably getting some advice from your doctors on this, but you've texted us to say, I'm awesome. Because, seriously, Alex, that sounds like a pretty big deal when he's doing the coast to coast.
Nick, that's an awesome feat. Much respect to you for doing that. In terms of what carbohydrate you're eating, obviously you will get some GI distress in this event, but when you've had medical procedures like you have, you really need to get in touch with a registered dietitian who's qualified in medical nutrition.
Yeah, but Nick, I just had to read your text because I think, you know what? You are awesome, actually.
Absolutely.
That is phenomenal. So if it happens to be an accidental humble brag, go for it, big guy.
Yeah, you deserve it.
Yep. Okay, let's get some calls going. Ken, hi.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Oh, that's good. I had the radio on. Yeah, congratulations to Nick. That's amazing. Can I ask, Alex, what he thinks is a healthy breakfast before you do your exercise? And in terms of carb loading, what are you talking about exactly?
Ken, carb loading it's been around for a very long time, so it's upping your carbohydrate intake in the hope that is going to be pushed into your muscles and stored, so you're going to have a little bit extra energy on board for your workout. It's not to say that you can't do that something, but putting it in there half an hour before you exercise, and then just going for your average sort of hour of exercise, a jog or a gym workout or something like that, that really doesn't play too much into it. If we're talking about someone who is, doing a half marathon or they're exercising intensively for an hour, then potentially there is some need to keep some carbohydrate intake coming in. But for us, in general, it depends what you're into.
Is carb loading the day before? So, but Hayden Wild, before he does the Olympic triathlon, he would possibly have a big plate of pasta.
Yeah, but he's not just doing it the day before. That's it's part of his diet ongoing. Replenishing what he's using every day.
Yeah. Any follow up there, Ken?
Well, just in terms of the carbohydrates, are we talking pasta and what else?
So if you're exercising in the morning, the foods that you're eating, really we want balanced nutrition. So we want some sort of protein, so that might be in the form of eggs. You might have some Greek yogurt. If you're vegetarian, you can have various sorts of vegetarian protein powders or some different sorts of plants. But it can be anything from porridge with some protein powder and some blueberries. That's a great start to the day. Eggs on toast, or some sort of smoothie, which you put some protein and some fruits and some yogurt.
So how important is the protein with the carbs?
Again, over 24 hours, it's really important that we get enough protein in our day. So the best way to do that is to split it up. So if we start surrounding that workout with the right type of foods, that's the best way to do it. Actually, before the Olympics, the Olympics, they asked to get
Thanks for calling, Ken. Let's Yep, you're all good.
Previous one about motivation and getting into exercise, doing things. It's pretty hard to actually get that motivation, and I've stumbled across a ecosystem that's come out that actually pays people to work out. I don't know if anyone's heard about it, but it's called Mood Quest, and it's an ecosystem that talks to the people and it's smartwatches that you can wear. And takes record of your activities during the day. And there's nothing more motivating than getting paid to actually do exercise. They don't pay you for music.
It sounds a bit like some exercise pyramid thing. Like everyone puts in $10 and then those who exercise the most get to draw out 15 or something, do they?
No, definitely not a pyramid scheme. Actually, it's totally different from all the other projects that have existed. It's brand new. It's only come out a month ago. The lady that released it, I forgot her name, but if you do a search for the NQT token on X 15 k's to work at a reasonably high intensity, and so I don't have it. I have a cup of warm water, bike to work, and then I do have a protein shake. But the reason I'm ringing you is to see whether that's a bit extreme, because I have noticed I'm losing a bit of muscle mass more in my upper body than in my lower body. You talked about carbs. Should I be taking carbs, and what sort of carbs do you think would be the right sort? Well, they said if I didn't do it, I could finish up. If I didn't do something, I get what's called insulin overshoot. So if I passed when I was about late teens, if I had a normal breakfast, bacon, eggs and porridge, I get to 11 o'clock and feel like I wanted to go to bed and sleep. Okay. So two protein shake when you get to work is a great idea. It means that you're getting in some a decent level of protein. Putting that with some form of energy dense carbohydrate, which could literally be a piece of fruit with that, depending on obviously if you had diabetes, we're talking about something again which is a medical issue. No, I don't have that. Okay, so it is a good idea to replace it, especially if you are riding pretty hard out. The reason that muscle mass loss happens in upper body is probably mostly as we age, we lose somewhere in the realm of 3 to 7% of our muscle mass per decade over the age of 40. And the only way to stop that is to give your body a reason to keep it. So yes, you've got to get enough protein in, but you've got to look at some upper body exercise that's going to no doubt your legs are in pretty good shape, being 76 and riding your bike to work. I think that's fantastic, and it's absolutely magic to be doing that. But just need to maybe think about putting some upper body exercise in there as well, and that will really help that. Probably not too much about that. You wouldn't worry too much about the carbs? No, I wouldn't. I'd just look to some upper body exercise. Good stuff. Thanks, Richard. Hey, how many calories or carbs are in? I don't know, you can't read gym bars, I guess, but if somebody's having a protein shake, are they also quite energy dense protein drinks? Depending on which one you get, but let's say you mention one or there's the good ones. Yeah, not really. There's 4 calories per gram protein. So if you have an average scoop of protein, that's about between 25 and 30 grams of protein. So you times that by 4, you've got 120 odd calories, and you might have a little bit of filler in with that, but yeah, they're very low. And they'll have artificial sweeteners and flavours, I guess, do they generally? Yeah, most of them. I mean, you have some, if you have sort of like bulk ones, that you're talking about that young kids get into to try and bulk up, they've got some extra energy, but I mean, again, it's when we talk about, really what we're talking about is calories, the amount of energy in our day is what's going to put weight on us. So if we go down the realm of is the food good or bad, it just depends on how much you're having and what that adds up to over 24 hours. So how many grams of protein are you looking to get out of a protein shake? If you have one, the general rule is one scoop is about 20 to 30 grams, depending on the size. So all illegal too? All illegal, yeah, 6 grams.
overall buzz at the moment. But there is some really great research. So one of the I suppose you call him the grandfather of the movement is Wim Hof, and he's actually had university study his immune system and the difference that he's been able to make, and he's been able to train other people to do the same. So it really does, yeah.
I think I saw an Olympian or two after winning a gold medal, so I'm just offering an ice bath. It's sort of like, you know, old days when people just off the tub. We've got to take a break. It's 11 minutes to 5. News Talk TV.
charges have been laid over a death yesterday in Pattaya. Police were called to a family harm incident in Dawson Street around 9 in the morning. They found a 60-year-old man with critical injuries. He died at the scene. A 34-year-old man arrested at the scene has now been charged and is scheduled to appear in New Plymouth District Court tomorrow. A scene examination at the property continues. Police are keen to hear from anyone who has information. A person died in a single vehicle crash early this morning on State Highway 3 in Northland's Pakanaka. Emergency services were called soon after midnight. Another person was taken to hospital with serious to moderate injuries. A group of people taken to court by a neighbouring property owner in St Arnaud are upset at what it cost them, but grateful they've won. A land developer in a gateway village to the Nelson Lakes National Park has now lost their bid to allow more housing in an existing subdivision. Open Justice reports opposition to Beach Nest 2014 Limited's plan cost residents almost $180,000. Opponents, including Gisela Purcell, say it's been an all-consuming fight.
What should have been a little administrative decision was a massive part of our life for years.
A number of people have been stabbed after a two-car crash on a major Sydney highway this morning. The cars collided about 9 o'clock in South Sydney. The driver of one of the cars then allegedly began slashing at his passenger, and Good Samaritans who rushed to try to help the distressed woman. Cronulla Sharks chairman Steve Mace says he came face-to-face with the knife-wielding man after the crash, which happened right in front of him. He ran to the passenger's aid after hearing her screams, but struggled to rip open the door to save her from the attack. The man is now in custody. There's been a fourfold increase in vaping education for New Zealand preteens. Asthma and Respiratory Foundation educators have run workshops for 10 to 12-year-olds at 18 schools so far this year, compared with 4 in 2023. Chair Letitia Harding says the increase shows the dire need for further education across the country. Ms. Harding says young people need to be equipped with the right information to protect them from vape marketing.
We've had over 1,200 students up until July this year, and 85% of those thought that the vaping industry was deliberately targeting teenagers and children.
Into the hard ports of Monterrey, Mexico. Finally, the 50 Lyndon Oscar notches her first WTA title. Lulu Sims bid for a first title at tennis's elite level has come up just short on TVNZ+. New Zealand has been outlasted 7-6, 6-4 by Czech world number 35 Linda Noskova in the Monterrey Open final. Despite defeat, Suns projected to jump from 57th to 41st ahead of the US Open, starting in New York tomorrow. 3 from 3 to start the new MPC rugby season for Wellington. The Lions have scored 2 tries in the last 15 minutes to beat Vanuatu 39-31 in Porirua. Wellington veteran Julian Savia has told Sky Sport they weren't surprised by what the Turbos brought to Jerry Collins Stadium.
We knew 102 always bring their A game against us, and that's what it was. It was a battle of sort of grinding down right till the final minute, and just proud of the points that we were able to get through there.
In Dunedin, Otago's clinched to 31.
A Bay of Plenty. Meanwhile, in the Farapama Cup, Zebra wins for... Injuries overnight. The Olympic gold medalist is just 3 shots back, looking to snap a major drought dating back to 2016. Ko remains as competitive as ever, despite her Parisian triumph.
A lot of people say, oh, you've got nothing to lose, but while I'm competitively playing, I still want to play the best golf I can. But it's definitely nice to know that I can go back to my room, and even if I have a bad day, there's a gold medal, waiting for me and my husband. Yeah.
Ko tees off at 5-1 tomorrow morning golf coverage with Crown. There's nothing like a new Crown, simply the best. I'm Clay Wilson, that's News Talk ZB News and Sport with Sanderson Vitamins, online or in store from Chemist Warehouse nationwide. It's 5 minutes past 5, Tim Beveridge is next.
Sport with Leader Remote. Come and experience a world of Panasonic TVs. Weather with Kelly's Supermall, where all good feet go.
The coastal forecast for the
as much fun as Guru. I like Guru.
Yeah, I like Guru as well.
Maybe it's promising too much. It's a little bit zen, isn't it?
Yeah, it could be.
Remind everyone, how many books have you written?
I've written 23 books. I've actually written 24 because I handed the manuscript of my 24th book into the publishers a couple of weeks ago, and they're doing their thing on it at the moment. It won't be out till next year or so, but that'll be number 24.
What? How?
Yeah.
I can imagine someone going, I've got a book in me and I'm going to start writing it. And you've done 23 and now, as you say, 24 is not out. It's written.
Yeah.
What motivated number 24?
About 5 years ago, I had a real long disruption in my life, and I left Queenstown, where I'd lived for 20 odd years, and moved to Christchurch, which is where I live now. And whenever you have a big disruption in your life, you're meant to go through your finances aspect by aspect, all the different things. And I did that, and I made a new will. I wound up the family trust that I had. I got my investments managed by some of
mouth-watering meat and more fresh to your door. Order this week to save over 10% on meat when you buy the butcher's box. That's a great deal for you and the perfect gift for Dad.
Fresh meat delivered fresh to your door. Smart money with Harbour Asset Management. Sustainable research-driven investment funds on the Weekend Collective on News Talk ZB.
Are you worried about funding a comfortable retirement? Well, you're not alone. The cost of living crisis is hitting home for a lot of people, so it's no surprise people are looking for ways to make the most of their savings and get a little bit more income to supplement their New Zealand super. One interesting solution is to invest in an income fund, like the Harbour Income Fund. It works by holding a mix of interest-paying securities and shares that are being designed to generate a steady and sustainable income no matter the market. The Harbour Income Fund is actively managed, and currently it pays a distribution of 5.25% per annum after fees and taxes paid out in monthly instalments. To find out more about Harbour's Income Fund, just head to their website or speak with your financial advisor. This is not intended as personalised advice. Product disclosure statement for Harbour Investment Funds, issued by Harbour Asset Management, is available at harbourasset.co.nz.
Property, parenting, politics, classy health, money, and the week's big issues. It's all on the Weekend Collective with Tim Beveridge, News Talk ZB.
Yes, and we're with Martin Wars. This is Smart Money, talking about the do's and don'ts of setting up a small business. Bit of a banter with Martin, but joining us is Ivor. G'day. Bit of a delay on the line there, Ivor. Hello. 24 o'clock. Oh, by the way, have you got a table for it?
No, I haven't. It's probably going to be entitled something like Retirement Ready, because one of the things I was really concerned about was that being of retirement age, that I could quickly and easily push the button and become retired if that's what I wanted to be.
Pushing the retirement button. Yeah.
That's not bad.
There you go. You can have that. You can have that one up there. We'll be back in just a moment. It's 20 minutes to 6. This talks to be.
Disney's World of Wonder collector cards are now at Woolworths. And this weekend is Silver Weekend, where you'll get 2 card packs with every $30 you spend. But you better be quick. End Sunday, only at Woolworths. T's and exclusions apply while stocks last.
You're never alone with David Jones. The Nissan Navara corners on now with David Jones Nissan. The Nissan Navara is reduced to clear and financed from only 1% interest with no deposit. Credit criteria, fees, T's and C's apply. And with the first annual service free, a 5-year, 150-kilometre warranty and roadside assistance, you're never alone with David Jones Nissan on Victoria Ave. You're never alone with David Jones.
From the world's #1 thriller writer and perfect for Father's Day, Safe Enough by Lee Child, creator of Jack Reacher. 20 pulse-pounding short stories, available now wherever books and audiobooks are sold.
When the time comes and you have a passing in the family to take care of, trust Whanganui longest established funeral home, Cleveland Funeral Home. From the arrangements to the casket, even the headstone, Cleveland Funeral Home take care of it all. So you can focus on celebrating the life of your loved ones. Trust the professionals who have been looking after Whanganui families for generations. Cleveland Funeral Home. Visit clevelandfunerals.co.nz.
Now, if you run a business, small, medium or large, you should know this. Just like you, your customers listen. And the chances are, like you, they are listening right now. So if you want to reach those customers, you should advertise with New Zealand Media and Entertainment. NZME is like no other. We are the country's largest multimedia company with audiences like ours to suit any brand. Advertise with NZME at nzme.co.nz.
Are you feeling lucky? Then unlock the best bang for your buck with the wicked Waitomo app. Simply fill up $20 or more via the Waitomo app, unlock a spinning wheel for your chance to spin and win the best deal on your fuel. Waitomo, Kiwis fueling Kiwis with fairer fuel prices, and proudly the key to your journey for 77 years.
Big stories, big opinion.
Good on them for not fishing the fish that didn't work. Different ideas, different philosophy, just jealous. Will it have an impact on the All Blacks? I don't know.
Is it acceptable to bag a car park? What about serving a seat at a restaurant? If you say, hey, I've got people coming in 3 or 5 or 10 minutes, is it okay to save a seat? Car park is for cars, not for people. You can't park a person there.
Every view from every angle, you talk FE. Smart money with Harbour Asset Management. Sustainable research-driven investment funds on the Weekend Collective on News Talk FE.
Welcome back to Smart Money on the Weekend Collective on some David Weekend. More author of 23 coming on 24 books. I was almost about to say 25 because I was chatting with my producer that I have an idea of doing a 25th book now. And it is actually, it's a corker. We'll talk about it later. Anyway, by the way, here's advice on small business, just a text here before we go to our caller Ross. This is probably quite good advice here from the small business owner. Says we have a small business that we're about to wind up. In fact, we're seeking some legal advice which we won't be able to help with, but it says we put our house under a family trust. It's protected in case the business fails. Probably not a dumb move, is it, Mark?
No, a lot of people would do that. A lot of people would be advised to do that when they go into the business via their lawyers and stuff.
sort of thing. As soon as you have a managed fund, I always feel that the return is that the case when an industry goes gangbusters?
Yes, it will be, because they're owning not only the winners, they're owning the losers, and diversification was dictates the volatility out of that. And takes for example, you asked before what the risks of this is. It isn't tech industries will all just go away or stop doing whatever it is they're doing. If you end up being rattled out of the market in a big downturn, then you no longer have your money in that when the upturn comes. And Tim, the other thing to say is that when we're talking about tech, it's not just AI, and it's not just robotics or automation, or it's gene therapies, it's blockchain, it's battery storage, it's clean tech. There's a whole bunch of different technologies that you can invest in.
So you can choose like, if you like the certain area of technology and the area of science which you think's really rocking and rolling, you can look for a fund that specialises in that part of that industry, can you?
Yeah, yes, you can. So you can buy a managed fund, for example, that invests only in medical devices. And as somebody who's had 2 operations in the last wee while, medical devices is something close to my heart. Yes, others will be incredibly successful. If somebody goes to patent for that, they make a large amount of money.
Do most credible investment fund managers, will they have that ability to, will they have a fairly broad portfolio where you can go, look, I'm interested in tech, but I really am interested in medical devices, and that they should have something for you?
Yes, yeah. Well, a lot of fund managers or a lot of financial advisory houses will have the ability to point those out. The other thing to say is that most people who are listening to this will have KiwiSaver accounts, and KiwiSaver, most KiwiSaver providers now will have exposures to technology, possibly quite big ones, some more than others. I personally, with my own portfolio, it's reasonably heavily weighted towards technology.
Yeah. Is there a part of you mentioned medical devices just as a throwaway, but is there, just getting to know Martin Hawes a little bit more, is there a part of Martin Hawes that has spent some of that money you've set aside for medical procedures and you're thinking, you know what, I'm going to go get some of that money back, so I'm going to go for looking for a fund that specialises in medical devices because I want some money out of you guys? Yes.
I'm not sure, but I don't manage my own money now. Somebody else manages for me, and there was a fund in there, which is a medical devices fund. I don't think there was.
Oh, okay. I just thought there was a slightly revenge investment sort of thing, like, well, I had to spend thousands on this operation, I'm going to go get some of it back. Hey, Martin, just hold there, because we'll be back in a moment. There's one final question I want to ask Martin is about how do you find that investment fund manager? Because everything involves research, doesn't it? Or does some of it involve just a little bit of blind luck when you buy Tesla shares at the age of 18 and buy a house as a result? So it's 10 to 6.
Is your office stuck in the past? Int Workspaces is here to catapult you into the future of work. Their new showroom in Palmerston North is now open, showcasing intelligent office solutions that blend style and productivity. News Talk ZB is giving you the chance to win a $5,000 Int Workspaces office makeover plus a team lunch. Ready to transform your workplace? Go to newstalkzb.co.nz/win to enter. Int Workspaces, workspace solutions that help you do your job better. Be in to win with Int and News Talk ZB.
New Zealand's most affordable in-home medical alarm is available nationwide. When you use a Freedom Medical Alarm, all emergency ambulance charges are covered. Plus, they can supply an additional in-home pendant for someone at the same address at no extra charge. A Freedom Medical Alarm could be fully funded. Call 0800 380 280 or visit freedomalarms.co.nz.
Looking for a day out surrounded by nature? Pukaha National Wildlife Centre
Specsavers. Conditions apply.
We have great deals on now for new Subaru and Mazda models here at Palmfield Motors. Or cash in on 7.95% finance on all used cars for the entire month of August. See us for a service or head in store and find a genuine Mazda Subaru car. Palmfield Motors, in the Watermanor Field at Wellington Road. See our brilliant team today. 452 Main Avenue, Palmerston North. TC's fees and normal
with a male who was at the box cutter.
facing serious charges, and they're thankful no one was injured.
News Talk TV Sports. Golfer Lydia Ko is fully embracing the gusty conditions heading into the final round of the Women's Open at St Andrews. The Olympic gold medalist is lurking just 3 shots off the lead as she looks to claim her first major since 2016. Ko says the win takes the pressure away from nailing the perfect shot.
I know that I could potentially aim way left and the ball's still going to move a lot. And it's been fun. There's been some shots that I just hit and all I can do is just laugh because I've just never seen a ball move like that.
Ko hits the first tee for her final round at 5-1 tomorrow at London Golf Cup at Twist Crown. There's nothing like a new crowd, simply the best. A first win of the season's in the works for North Harbour and Rugby's NPC. The hosts have a 36-22 lead with less than 20 minutes to go in their game against Waikato in Albany. Earlier, Wellington came from behind to reach Manawa to 39-31 in Porirua. Otago finished strong to put Mayo 20-31-26 in Dunedin. Defeat in the Mount Taranaki Open final won't stop Lulu Sun from entering the US Open as a top 50 player in women's tennis. Kiwi has missed out on her first title at WTA, taking 7-6, 6-4 by world number 35 Linda Noskova in the second tournament. Sun's ranking though is set to jump from 57th to 41st, and she's happy with her effort in 10+.
Even though, I lost in the finals, it was still a great week. Gracias y te amo, Monterrey.
Sun's first round match at the US Open is scheduled for Tuesday morning against 76th ranked Italian Lucia Bronzetti. The Roosters have thumped the Titans 48-22 on the Gold Coast to reclaim second on the ladder in League's NRL. That's News Talk ZB News and Sport with Sanderson Vitamins online and in store from Chemist Warehouse nationwide. It's 6:05. Frank and Petra are next.
News Talk ZB watch 24/7. Taranaki to Wellington, mostly cloudy with isolated showers. Everywhere else in the North Island, mainly fine, but cloud increasing. Nelson, Marlborough and Canterbury, mostly cloudy. Rain in Canterbury with scattered falls elsewhere this evening. In Bulla, a few showers turning to rain with some heavy falls. Westland and Fiordland, rain with heavy falls. Thunderstorms and hail are also possible, clearing from Fiordland this evening. Otago in Southland, rain with snow down to 600 metres in Southland and Clutha, becoming fine this evening. Chatham Islands, cloudy periods. I'm Joe Gilfillan. That's News Talk ZB, news, sport and weather. It's coming up to 6:07.
Appointment listening. It's Sunday at 6 with Frank Ritchie and Jax Donaldson on News Talk ZB.
I was reading a story from the Tapuki Times about a nurse who needed to have surgery, and due to circumstances, she ended up in that space between life and death that led to her going through something we often refer to as a near-death experience. I'll give you her experience as we start the show. This is stuff that I love to think about. We're all going to die. None of us is getting out of this alive, which sounds really morbid, but exploring what we think happens when we die and stories of brushing with death take us into rich veins of fascinating conversation. So 2 simple questions for you tonight. What do you think happens when we die? And what's the closest you've ever come to death? Share your stories with us and tell us how those experiences have changed how you see life. Join me, Frank Ritchie, and the wonderful Petra Bagdis by calling 0800 80 1080 or texting 9292. Standard rates apply right here on News Talk ZB.
It's Sunday at 6 on News Talk ZB.
Now, I've got to admit, I was going to refer to you as the Grim Reaper because you're dressed a little like the Grim Reaper.
Yeah, but I've got my hard girl, hoodie on, and with my back, it's black. It's got an image on it of a monster. I've got my hood up, and I'm just really channeling Grim Reaper tonight, don't you reckon?
Yeah, it's wise. It's the right thing to be wearing for the show. Whereas my t-shirt says "Not today, Satan." So I'm not planning on dying today. But this came about, and I've got to admit, I'm geeking out on this because this is the sort of stuff that I love to think about. And I know everybody knows that I'm a Christian minister, so obviously I have thought on the afterlife. I hold those relatively loosely, as I've never died, so I can't confirm nor deny.
Good humility, Frank.
To be true is true.
Nice.
What's that?
Good humility, Frank.
Which means that I come to a conversation like this, and I want us to be really careful as we dive into this, because there will be a lot of diverse ideas about what happens when we die. So we're not here to rubbish other people's ideas. Obviously, I think some ideas might be closer to being right than other ideas, but we're not here to rubbish people's ideas about what happens when we die. So this is about sharing what it is that we think, as well as our stories of brushing with death, getting close to death, or having a near-death experience, or, I don't know, being in an accident or something where you almost died. But when it comes to sharing ideas about what we think happens when we die, this is a judgment-free zone, so we're not going to call up and rubbish other people's ideas, we're just going to put our own ideas on the table. Now, this came about because of this article. Now, the article goes into depth into her medical history, why she ended up near death, this nurse, but it's her experience of almost passing away and what happened in that space between life and death that caught my attention. So the article says this: one of my grandchildren was due, and I felt there was a really strong reason for coming back to my body. It sounds really bizarre, but when you die, it's so peaceful. There's no reason to come back, but I knew my daughter needed me. She does have memories of being dead. I definitely saw loved ones and saw people I didn't expect to see. My husband's uncle and his adopted mum, who have passed away, were there to collect me. It was the strangest thing. It was nice of them to be there, but it wasn't who I expected. It definitely concreted my belief in the afterlife. It was very peaceful. The one thing I took from it was that time is really man-made. On the other side, it doesn't really exist as we feel it here. What was a blink of an eye for me was 2 weeks for my family. She says she feels now that it wasn't her time, it was her choice to come back. And then she went on to say this: when I did decide to come back, I went through some horrific things. Some would say it was the drugs, because I was on a lot of drugs, but the only way I could describe it would be going through purgatory to get home. All the horrible things you understand about purgatory were definitely things that I saw, and that caused quite a bit of post-traumatic stress. You're literally in between two worlds of life and death, and you're trapped in your body and your mind. Whether it's in your mind or not, it's horrific. You can't move away from it, can't get out from it. It's going around and around. But I would say I wouldn't change it, because it's going to make me a better clinician. I've been an empathetic nurse, but I've always believed there's going to be some purpose for it. I'm not sure where I'm going to land after this, but I'm sure there's a greater plan for me. So obviously that experience just had a profound effect on how she viewed life, which is amazing.
Amazing. And the fact that it was a blink of an eye, but it was actually 2 weeks. My family.
Yeah. 2 weeks of being in limbo. So, I mean, I could go back through all the medical history there, but she was in and out of close to death for a very long time. So her experience, what caught it for me too, because there's a bunch of physical things that could get put on the table that people often use to explain away these experiences. But the fact that she encountered people in that afterlife experience that she did not expect to encounter says to me there was something more going on there. That's the stuff that I'd love to explore. So that's what we're going to chat about this evening. If you've ever had a situation where you've come close to death, we want to hear about that. Whether it led to some sort of afterlife experience or not, we want to hear that story. What's the closest you've ever come to death? And if you have had an experience where you have essentially passed away, you've been dead on the table, and you came back, what was that experience like? 180, 1080, and what do you think happens when we die? Lots of places that we can focus on.
Just like that mix made meeting Watson and Stephen King, iHeartRadio lets you choose the music. iHeartRadio, your podcasts, your radio, and your playlist.
we're talking near death, we're talking afterlife. 0800 80 1080. Chris, good evening. Chris, can I just say, these are the conversations that I really love. Because if we agreed, mate, it would be boring.
Welcome to Spark. Please enter the extension number of the person you would like to speak to, followed by the hash key. Hang up and call us on 0800 800 123.
What do you think, Frank? Is it any better? Try again.
Let's give it a crack, Henry.
Yeah.
Okay. So I believe before we dive years ago to the next door, Almighty God just judge us for what we've done in this lives to react with he takes us to his will, he just gets rid of you.
Okay, so I guess sounds like Henry's saying sort of classic heaven and hell options.
Yeah, you're he's already going to say, well, you get what you can say, he's going to be pretty.
Yes, talk to who am I talking to?
Yeah, you're talking to Mr. Bilal. How are you?
Good. Hey, I think we've chatted before, but I just can't remember how to spell your name.
Bilal.
Oh, Bilal, that's right. Hey, thanks for calling. What did you want to share with Frank and Petra?
Well, I want to share with him from a religious point of view about the afterlife with regards to the Islamic view.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that will be quite important. Are you guys going on break soon? For the news?
No, but we will... no, not for the news. We'll just go to a normal 2-minute-long ad break in a couple of minutes, but we'll come back to you as soon as we can, okay?
Okay, yeah, sure. I mean, it gives me more time, just to have a chat.
Yeah.
Proper talk.
Yeah. Hey, thank you, Bilal. Stay on the line.
Yeah, sure.
Stuff fires off in your brain. My problem with our current worldview is that we then say, so there was no spiritual experience, there was no experience of something other, as opposed to going, we are spiritual beings. In that moment when we pass away, we experience something spiritual, but because we are also physical, it has a physical effect. Here's how our brain is responding to that. You understand what I'm saying?
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
That's what I've experienced. I couldn't agree with you more. Because we are, as you say, we are a physical being, but then there's no question in my mind that we are a spiritual being as well. And certainly, when we die, our energy starts to, I don't want a better word, terminate in our bodies, but there's more to it. There's like, yeah, there's more to it. And unfortunately, I've been around death of other people as well when they've died. And so for me, There's no question that there is more than what we experience on Earth. No.
Great conversation, John. I've got to carry on, but I really appreciate your call. Bilal, another John, and Peter, I can see you waiting there. We'll get to your calls after. Sorry, we'll get to some of those text messages as well. If you want to join in the conversation, 0800 80 1080, please text 9292. Please talk to your face.
With most business lending, you've got to jump through a lot of hoops. At Taxi, we offer business funding without the jumping or the hoops. No credit checks, no personal guarantees, no surprise fees. We're powered by your provisional tax, and we're about half the rate of a big bank overdraft. So deposit your provisional tax with gotaxi.co.nz before the 28th of August and unlock monthly business funding. For business purposes only, T's and C's apply. Think Ribbon Walk is your chance to come together in Auckland and walk for the thousands of Kiwis impacted by breast cancer each year. Early bird tickets are available now until the 28th of August. Visit thinkribbonwalk.co.nz to secure yours. Be part of something special this October.
October's not leaving still like 6 months sale. Get 20% off 2024 TVs, JBL audio and selected whiteware. Plus huge savings on limited stock items. Hurry before they're gone. In store only at Wellington, Albany, St. Luke's and Monaco. Each Sunday, get the supply.
Embark on an unforgettable holiday with Travelwise Holidays. Fully escorted tours tailor-made for the 60-plus traveller. First up, a 22-day European river cruise tour departing on June 12th. Enjoy fabulous stopovers in Doha and Amsterdam before departing on an exquisite 15-day cruise from Amsterdam to Budapest. Admire Cologne's Gothic Cathedral. Sail the dramatic Rhine Gorge with its majestic castles. Explore quaint villages. Visit Melk Benedictine Abbey and much more. Tour magical Vienna and conclude your journey in vibrant Budapest. Pick up a 16-day tour departing July 5th. Experience the thrill of the Calgary Stampede, the greatest outdoor show on Earth, and Canada's stunning Rocky Mountains. Travel in luxury aboard the Rocky Mountaineer train from Banff to Vancouver. Explore natural wonders like the iconic Icefields Parkway and Lake Louise, and cap off your journey in Vancouver and Victoria. For all the details, phone Travelwise Holidays on 0800 11 60 60. But don't delay it, places are limited. That's Travelwise Holidays 0800 11 60 60.
It's Sunday at 6 on News Talk ZB.
Or you can text 9292. It's News Talk ZB. We're talking about the closest you've got to death and what you think happens when we die as well. And clearly already we've got a lot of diverse thinking on the topic.
Yeah, we certainly have. And we've got a text here, Sam, that says, well done. Good job, mate. That was for your massive run during the ad break before. But this one says, hi, Frank and Petra. I had a near-death experience when I was 11 years old. I started to drown in the river. My life flashed before my eyes. Literally, everything I had experienced in my life was there. It didn't play out chronologically from start to finish. There was absolutely no sense of time. It is still, to this day, the most mind-blowing thing I've ever experienced in my life. There are no words to describe it. Thanks, Alex, for your text. And Alex then said, happy to share it with you, but don't feel like calling. And I wanted to acknowledge that I think this is a fully fascinating and quite hard thing to talk about, not only because perhaps words fail us at times, and we heard from John, and he was trying to describe or find the vocabulary for this energy of experience and peace, like a peace he can't describe, essentially, has never felt before outside of his incredible 3 near-death experiences, or 3 death experiences. And I even in talking to other people, we are drawn to this topic, Frank. And also, I wonder if there's this tenderness to it, this intimacy, or vulnerability. Because if somebody takes an experience that you've had that is profound and just basically goes, no rubbish, it could hurt, or it could, you're vulnerable essentially to somebody saying, oh, you're crazy, you're just making it all up, this is rubbish. And I'm stoked that people have called out. I noticed that the majority of the people have called them in. So maybe they're braver with their near-death experiences. I don't have a near-death experience, so I can't share mine. I was in 3 write-offs. I'm driving in New Zealand. But,
Maybe it's because us guys do more dumb stuff.
maybe. Yeah, maybe.
More likely to end up in that situation. But I think you're right. There is a vulnerability to discussing this, which is why, again, I want to make it clear that we're not here to rubbish anybody else's view on the afterlife or what happens when we die, or their near-death experience if they've had one. We're just here to put what it is that we think on the table, and already it's diverse, and it's all just keep coming. So clearly this is one of those things that as humans, we like to talk about it. And we like to talk about it, even though sometimes it can be hard to talk about, because we're all going to have to go through it at some point. So it's one of those things that we think about. Bilal, good evening.
Yeah, hello, good evening. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Salam alaikum. I'm good.
Yes, I just pulled over because I've just been on an 8-hour drive from Hamilton. So I'm just headed to Wellington, almost in Wellington. So I had the topic. I said, let me give you guys a call. And basically from a faith-based point of view of what Allah Almighty has told us in the Quran of the afterlife. What Allah has said is that this life that we are in is just a beautification. It is just the stars, the moon, the sun, the landscape, the seas, the ocean. It is just a beautification. So it is just a delusion. So don't be drawn in. So it is just a temporary world. This is just like a bridge for you to use to climb to the next. And also about life, Allah says this life is going to test you with fear, anxiety, loss of loved ones, lots of wealth. You can lose, huge amounts of money, but it is just to see which one of you are best in deeds and which one of you are actually, grateful, and how you will respond to the test that He has given each and everyone, because everyone's test in this life is different. So your test is different from mine. And the other thing about what Allah says is that if you deny that there is an afterlife, that you should wait. When the soul, or when your soul is about to leave the throat, push it back if you are sincere, that no, that life and the soul belongs to Him, that He gives it and He's going to take it back at an appointed time. And once that time comes, you cannot negotiate with the angel of death, that it is either it's being taken at that time, or you'll be drawn to a place where it will be taken from you.
Yeah.
So
Bilal, just to cut in here, because I have a Christian faith, you have a Muslim faith. This is the sort of thing that I'm sure you and I could rattle on about for a very long time. I'm really interested to know just an answer to one question. You talked about life being a test. Is there any way that you can know that you've passed the test before you die?
Well, at the end of the day, every judgment is for Allah, because everybody's test is different, because Allah says that He's not going to burden a person with a burden more than what he can bear, more than what he or she can bear. So your test might be different from the test of your producer. All right, your test might be different from my test. So the only way that you know that you've passed your test is when you get to heaven, and you would have probably been given maybe your book that will list how you passed the test, what was your score. So I wouldn't say that you will know, but at the end of the day, Allah has the final judgment, grades the marks.
Yeah. Hey, I've got to carry on, Bilal, but that is fascinating. It's another good example of what we believe about the afterlife.
One more.
John, good evening. Hello, John. Are you there? No, John, if you can, I do want to have a chat with you, John, just because of what our producer has written about what you would like to chat about. So I'm not sure if that was a line issue. I'll get Sam to check it, and then hopefully we'll be able to get back to you.
Can
Peter,
I give you
good
a
evening.
Oh, yeah, Peter. G'day.
Good evening.
Hi.
Check it, and then hopefully we'll be able to get back to you.
Can I
Peter,
give you
good
a
evening.
Yeah, Peter. G'day.
Good evening.
Oh, have you got a near-death experience for us?
Yes, in the early 60s I was in Green Lane Hospital. I ended up on the operating table. The anaesthetist must have been
heard it's not time yet voice and saw the white light, and then the next minute she's back in her body and the doctors are working on reviving her. So again, an out-of-body experience and then coming back. Amazing.
It would be interesting to know if she then had a chat with him and it turns out he was sobbing at that moment, holding the baby.
Yeah, I guess the way the stories are recounted, it is happening, right? So yeah, absolutely. That would be interesting to ask.
Yeah, hey Andrew and Sam, I can see you waiting there, and Peter's on now as well. We'll get to you hopefully after the break. The calls are going crazy. If you do want to get involved in the conversation, 0800 80 10 80, it's News Talk ZB.
You win a car, you win a... Actually, John from New Plymouth won the second week's car with One Roof Property, but there's still one final Suzuki Swift to be won. Even if you've entered before, you can enter again at oneroof.co.nz/win. Go on, do it. You've got nothing to lose and a sweet Swift to win. Go to oneroof.co.nz/win, give us your deets and you're in the draw. Enter before midnight Sunday at oneroof.co.nz/win.
The Patani Club is proud to be a place for all to come and enjoy themselves in a family-friendly environment. There's something for everyone at the bistro.
Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wellington. So yes, it has been a drive. Apologies for coming into Wellington late. Had to stop by Mount Taranaki, and I didn't even leave early from where I was at Kerry. That was up north. So yeah, sorry about that. Anyways, hit that like button if you have enjoyed. I should have asked you guys to hit the like button a long time ago, but yeah, hit the like button if you have enjoyed the drive and the show. And yes, if you're new on here, we do absolutely tremendous things like this on a day-to-day basis, not day-to-day basis, but on a regular basis, weekly basis. So please pledge your allegiance to us. This is Wellington city itself, and yes, I have arrived, so the video will be ending anytime soon. I just had to leave the night run or the night drive running until I entered Wellington. I mean, can't really, I don't know where I'm going. Sorry about that. Have I lost my way? What the heck is going on here? No, did I lose my way? No, I didn't lose my way. No, okay, yeah. Anyways, yeah, just sorry about the night drive, but yeah, I just left the night drive running so that you guys can see when I reached Wellington, rather than me just turning off the video when the sun was going down. But anyways, yeah, I had to stop to talk to one of the guys at News Talk ZP, Talkback show that we normally do talkbacks here. Whenever I get the time, I do call up to do talkback. But this time around, because it was a spiritual talk, so I said, let me pack. I think this is the first time this year I'm calling in to talk back, to have a chat. But anyways, all I can say is a very big thank you to each and every single one of you, once again, for stopping by, dropping by to watch my travel showcasing videos. Yeah, I'll definitely see you guys in the next one. Thank you very much.